You know, Kenny felt that was so he chose them. So when Barry went up and missed the first one, I've got to give him credit for being the captain and taking the responsibility in the first one, and missing that first one. That was I thought, oh, well, you know, that's us. You know, missed the first penalty. But what I found out when I look back on it, and I look now, the 0-0 and the pressure of winning that Italian teams have. I mean, they're probably one country where their team is under extreme pressure to win all their games, and I think that was evident in their penalty taking. You know, they felt the pressure. They would maybe have been better if they had been an away team in a penalty shootout rather than excuse me, rather than a home team. But anyway, Stephen Whittaker's a good penalty taker. And he got the second one, which is always important for you. And from then on, you know, Sasa Papats was another one that I didn't know that. I'd seen the boys all practice. I mean, they all practice their penalties. They all take them, and I'd seen them all practice. But Sasa came up, took his penalty, Brahim penalty, and that left Nacho. Well, as I've already said, anything could happen with Nacho. So that was him. I placed it away, sent the goalkeeper the wrong way, if I can remember correctly, and from then on it was just a matter of celebrating the fact that we. I mean, every one of them played their part. They worked extremely hard. It was hard work that got us there. We might not have been the best of quite a number of these teams, and would have looked and said they were probably better teams than we were at the time. But they all struggled to get through simply because of the amount of work that all our guys were prepared to do.
Did it take a while to sink in, the level of the achievement, the fact that you and Rangers had reached the UEFA Cup final?
Yeah, I did do. I must admit, there's the obvious euphoria at the end of the penalty shootout, and when you saw the players and everybody celebrating in front of supporters and things like that, and everybody going over, it was fantastic. It was great, a great evening to be involved in, and it's one of those things when you look these days and you see the financial aspects of European football. A Scottish team, you know, to get to the final of the Europa League was great. I mean, it really was. It was well beyond anything I had expected in a season, and while I stated earlier there that it wasn't something that bothered me too much, in a sense that I felt we had to keep going domestically. We actually did keep going in a domestic sense, and it wasn't until a whole pile of fixtures came up towards the end of the season, obviously not helped by the fact that we had got to the final, but that it influenced, I've no doubt it influenced the outcome of the League Championship that year, which unfortunately we lost to Celtic. But if you ask me, would have preferred an outing in the Europa final? Well, yes, I would take that.
Rangers were in fourth when Graham Murty took over the reins at the club. They are now going in search of a second-placed finish for an improved European draw in June. With 4 games left, he spoke to Nick Thompson.
We want to chase out and finish as high as we possibly can. We've said that all the way through. My remit when we came in was to push on and leave us hopefully in a better position than it was in when I came in. Okay. We've set out real specific targets to the players in where we want to finish in the league, and we want to finish as high as we possibly can. So there's points on offer. Everyone has to play each other. So we want to go and give ourselves as good an opportunity as possible of finishing as high up the league as we possibly can, because the guys have worked extremely hard this season. I've said to them they've got 12 working days left in terms of training and 4 games. So those 12 working days, those 4 games, are the culmination of a really, really long, hard season. They need to finish it off properly. And they need to finish off, as I've said, showing their highest level. Because their highest level is the only way that they can properly represent the sheer amount of hard work and intensity that's gone into this season.
And can a strong end to this season perhaps relate to a good start to next season as well, in terms of having a good end and keeping that momentum going?
It does, and it also pertains to where you sit within the squad, where you sit within the league. There's still lots of points to be played for, and loads of people are going to be judging us from the outside and seeing whether we are, and I use that word advisedly, we are worthy of being at this football club. I think the players showed they want to be here. The players showed they want to play at Ibrox in front of a big crowd. But it's not enough just to do it in 1 week. You need to do it week in, week out, day in, day out. And the way that you get ready for that is to train with proper intensity here. So we've got to make sure that from now until the end of the season, we deliver those things on a regular basis to give ourselves a chance of setting up the end of the season properly, but also taking a positive feeling into next season.
I don't expect you to tell me your team or your team talk or anything, but how will you approach the game, and is there things you'll do differently from previous meetings against Celtic?
I think when we've been to their place, we've had a real good structure, a real good shape and a real good intensity about us, and we've been unlucky not to take more points from when we've been there in the past. Obviously it's a different circumstance at the moment, but you have to take, not solace, but inspiration almost, from the things that we did really, really well. We know they're a good team. We know it's going to be a difficult one, but when I was a player, this was always the kind of game that got me motivated the most. People writing you off, people talking about you in the press, just go in and really put in a really solid, good performance and hopefully giving yourself the best opportunity to take points. You have to have that in your head. You have to have it in your psyche as a footballer at the very top level.
Greg Doherty is a man who today means a lot to. For the boyhood fan, today is his first away Old Firm game since joining the club in January. The midfielder says the squad are more together than ever as they seek to prove a point this lunchtime.
We need to stick together now, more than ever, and we need to push through and help this club push on again, and like I said, restore the faith kind of in the fans, in their eyes, and push on and finish as high up in the league as we can.
How crucial do you think that togetherness is going to be for the next 4 games?
Yeah, it's going to be huge, and it is important. I think obviously we are a close group. As I've come into the dressing room, it's a close group, and I'm very grateful for that, and everyone was very welcoming for me and allowed me to settle in. So in that sense, it's a close group, and the unity in the team's there, and even from the foreign boys as well, pushing together with the British boys. It's nice, it's a good bond we've got. Everybody's always together and training and helping each other and wanting the best out of each other.
Do you think the fact that you all did have that conversation about kind of backing one another helped the win and helped the result?
Yeah, I think so, and it made the win, when we got the win in the dressing room, obviously that bit more sweeter. We got over the line, and we showed some good resilience to get the win, particularly we conceded quite a sloppy goal, but we stuck together and we got the job done, and I think we should have been a lot more comfortable than it actually was if we'd have been a bit more clinical up front, but overall it was a good performance.
As a team, have you discussed how much you owe to the fans after the semi-final result?
Not, I wouldn't say, yeah, well, I have discussed it, but I think each of us know that it's not acceptable, and that's the end of the line. We can't do that. We can't afford to do that as players. I mean, again, we're playing for our own pride as well. At this club, you can't lose in that manner, and it can't just be accepted and brushed aside. You've got to face reality. It's tough, and you've got to watch it back, and it's grim at times, but that's the way it is, and we've got to learn from it and put the wrongs right, so to speak.
Has it been tough for you getting used to playing for the club that you support?
Yeah, no, I wouldn't say tough. I'm enjoying it, I'm relishing it, but obviously it's difficult because I do feel that when we lose, I feel it that bit more, and I've never, particularly when I was at Hamilton, if I lost a game, I didn't feel as down as I do now. No disrespect to Hamilton, but just that's the way I am. Always wanted Rangers to do well. I used to feel down if Rangers lost and I'd won at the weekend, but so now I'm feeling it even more, and it is kind of trying to pick yourself up again, but you've got to, and that doesn't put me off being here. That I relish that, and I relish wanting the success at this club, and that's why I want to keep pushing on and bring success to this club.
Has it become harder to get away from football for you as well because your friends and family are all Rangers fans as well?
Yeah, I suppose a wee bit sometimes, but like my mum and my dad and girlfriend particularly, they're very welcoming, and when I come home and stuff, I get beaten. My sister too, they kind of just let me be for a wee bit, and then they won't push me, they won't ask me too many questions, and then particularly when I used to speak to my dad straight after a game, sometimes he would just leave it for a couple of days, then he'll come and talk to me, and it's just when I'm ready to speak to them, so they're nice in that sense. They won't push me if I'm feeling a bit down, but like that's football, you can't dwell on these things, you've just got to move on, and that's part and parcel of being at a big club, and I'm learning that, and I'm dealing with that pressure.
So going into this weekend's game, how much personal motivation have you got to put things right after that game at Hampden?
Yeah, huge. I mean, there's no bigger motivation for me now, particularly obviously the circumstances on Sunday. If the game doesn't go well for us, it'll be one that will be extremely hard to forget about, and it'll. On the other hand, if we do get a positive result, it could be a memorable day for us, and hopefully restore a bit of faith in the fans, and that's all we've got to try and do, is get the fans back on board, and if we put in a good performance, then it might kickstart again a nice run for us to go on, and that's all we've got to look to do.
A lot has been said about perhaps what Celtic can do on Sunday, but is it important to remember that this is a very crucial result in terms of where Rangers finish this season?
I think obviously that this is a game, it doesn't matter in form, we've just got to go out there and we've got to perform, and for us form goes out the window for both teams. I think you've just who turns up in the day, and we haven't turned up of late in the last few, so this is a big chance for us now, and to go to their place and hopefully prove some critics wrong. After
the game at the weekend, Jack Anick described it as 4 cup finals left. Is that the message within the dressing room?
Yeah, absolutely. That was when we spoke before the Hearts game about the 5 games, that we used it as like a mini league, and we've got to finish top of that league, and that's the way we're looking at it. And like I said, it's all about restoring the faith of the fans again, and personal pride as well. I think particularly after the Hampden defeat, it really hurt a few players, and particularly myself. And so we've got to move on now, and we've got to right those wrongs.
I imagine that there's not much from the Hampden game that you'd want to do in Sunday's game. You want to make everything a little bit different.
Yeah, well, I think obviously today I'd imagine we'll start our game plan and stuff today and see how we're going to approach it. But yeah, there's a lot of things we want to change, and maybe we're just each individual. I don't think any of us get pass marks in that game, and that's the disappointing thing. We let ourselves down, even just our basic things, like we just seem to be off the pace, and can't afford to do that in such big games, and particularly that when it's shown. We went at it, and we've got to move. We've got to go on Sunday, and hopefully, well, I'm sure we can right that wrong.
Tom Miller is joined by Andy Little today. They will take you through all the action live from the other side of the city. I hope you enjoy the game.
Well, thanks to Alice for a terrific pre-match build-up. Today it's Operation Spoiler. Rangers are indeed in the lion's den, and they have to be intent on being party poopers. Celtic need a win to clinch the title, while Rangers remain focused on a second place finish. So after a comfortable win 7 days ago over Hearts, who does Graham Murphy turn to in today's starting 11? Well, there is one change from the side who beat Hearts 2-1 a week ago. Declan Jones misses out, a hand injury, ruling out the Welsh internationalist. Andy Halliday, his straight replacement. So Rangers have Jack Anick in goal, a back four of James Tavernier, Ross McCrory, Russell Martin and Andy Halliday. Then it's Daniel Candias, Jason Holt, Graham Dorrans, Josh Windass, Jamie Murphy. Jason Cummings is up top. On the bench for Rangers, Liam Kelly, Lee Hodgson, Jordan Rossiter, Greg Docherty, Sean Gotts, Michael O'Halloran and Alfredo Morelos. Celtic make 2 changes from the team who went down to Hibernian last Saturday. Lustig and Edouard come in, and Henry and Griffiths are benched. They go with Craig Gordon goal, a back four of Mikael Lustig, Dedrick Boyata, Christophe Ayer and Kieran Tierney, James Forrest, Scott Brown, Tom Rogic, Olivier Nchan, Callum McGregor and Odsonne Edouard. As I say, on the bench for Celtic, Scott Bain, Joso Simonovic, Jack Hendry, Ebui Kouassi, Scott Sinclair, Patrick Roberts and Lee Griffiths. Today's referee is Craig Thompson in his 15th Old Firm derby. It's a very good afternoon to Andy Little, who joins me on commentary for this one. Andy, it's looking a wee bit of a kind of patched up side, for want of a better term, in light blue today. No Fotheringham with a shoulder injury. Declan John also missing out. But the positive is those that come in know what's expected, Andy.
Absolutely, Tom. It's a big loss, Declan John. He's been very, very impressive all season, I think. But Andy Halliday will go in there. He'll have a point to prove as well, given what happened a couple of weeks ago. And he knows what it's all about. And obviously, Jason Cummings has featured last week, got his goal, and he'll certainly bring some legs up front and try and put the Celtic back four under a bit of pressure. Really, is what I think that it needs to happen today. It's
an electric atmosphere inside Celtic Park. Well, kick-off coming up rapidly around the corner. However, before then, what actually influenced the Rangers line-up today? Let's hear it from the man himself. Here's Graham Murphy. He's trackside with Alice.
You have been forced into some changes. Firstly, Andy Halliday is starting ahead of Declan John. What's happened there?
We tried to keep it quiet, but Declan fell in training really innocuously. He's broken his hand. He's basically broken the third metacarpal in his hand. There's a significant break. It looks like that might be him for the season. We tried to have a look at it, and bless Declan, he had a go. He tried to train yesterday with it strapped up heavily, and he just couldn't do it. It's not right to put him at risk of making that worse, and it was really sore. So we'll bring in Andy, and he'll go play left back.
Are you confident with the work you've done with that back line over the week that you can stop Celtic today?
Boys have worked really hard. It's up to them now. The boys have to walk onto the football pitch with the attitude that we want, the attitude that we need, because we've got to put some things right.
And Jack Anakin ahead of Wes Fotheringham as well.
Wes is not fit. Wes has got bad shoulder. He's had a scan. He's seen a specialist in the week. But Jack played well last week. He's a really confident guy. He's really good in training. And he's worked hard all year for this opportunity. And don't come much bigger than this.
Jason Cummings ahead of Alfredo Morelos. Has he got the perfect personality for a game like this?
As I've said before, Jason will tell you that. Jason will tell you he has. But he seems made for big occasions. And there's none bigger in British football, in my opinion, than this game, particularly with what's on it today. So he's in from the starting lineup, but I've got people on the bench that want to get on and want to actually be a part of it, because we've got a point to prove, and hopefully the boys can take what we've done in the week, put a little bit of fire in their bellies, and get the right result.
How much of a point do you personally have to prove today?
I don't have to prove anything. It's not me. Yeah. The players have to walk onto the pitch. I just stand on the sideline. I seem to be the face of stuff. I seem to be the guy taking credit and criticism in equal measure at times, but when they walk over the white line, it's up to the players to go and perform. We know we didn't in our last game against them, but the guys have it within them. I've got no doubt they have it within them to go and get performance in and go and get a result today.
You're unbeaten here.
Thanks
Very
for
good
reminding
record.
me. If I walk out of here unbeaten, then I'll be a happy man. But regardless of walking out of here unbeaten, as long as we perform the way that we know we can. I can walk out and the players can walk out with their heads held high, but we know there's loads on it. We know what they want to happen today, and we're going to do our damnedest to make sure they don't get it.
Well, Rangers manager Graham Murphy there with Alice Edworth. He says, Andy Little, his team have a point to prove. How would you elaborate on that one? Is he making reference to 2 weeks ago today?
I think they know exactly that they let themselves down. I was worried going into the semi-final that the players would be slightly wounded maybe from what happened at Ibrox, obviously prior to that, and in the manner of the defeat at Ibrox, I think as well is the main thing, that the players might have been wounded. And you have to say, Tom, that's kind of how it looked, and the players will be disappointed with that, and the manager obviously as well. And I think they do have a point to prove now, that they have to prove that they have the mettle to play in these kind of games, and if you want to be a Rangers player, you have to be able to handle that.
Now Celtic first to leave the dressing room, led out with their skipper Scott Brown, while James Tavernier, Ross McCrory firing up the troops in blue. The team's led to the centre circle by today's referee Craig Thompson. Scott Brown, who swept the boards at Celtic's Player of the Year awards. Dedrick Boyata at the heart of the defence again today for Celtic, alongside Christopher Ayer. Is it important that Rangers perhaps, in the style of Jason Cummings, get about the Celtic rearguard, Andy?
Definitely, and again, go back to that game at Ibrox 2 minutes in, and Josh Windass did exactly that on Boyata, and he got his goal. And I think that was the total contrast at Hampden after I think 20 minutes they hadn't really pressed in that kind of manner, and definitely I think you look at Hibs last week, obviously got a result against Celtic, and that's exactly what they did. They pressed high and they put the Celtic back four and the Celtic team in general under far more pressure than Rangers managed at Hampden a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, and Jason Holt in the Rangers engine room last Sunday against Hearts was his first start since Partick Thistle on the 6th of February, and that's the game plan that will suit him down to a T, with those wee legs going like pistons, covering every blade of grass and making life awkward for Celtic mid to front. Yeah, I think Jason Holt have always been a fan of his, and I think you know exactly what you're going to get. He's the man for this kind of occasion, this kind of match, and you know, tempo, passion, those are the kind of words that Graham Murty used during the week. You know, that's what we need to see, and I think Graham Dorrans as well, in fairness, was at the game last week at Hearts, and he showed something that we hadn't maybe seen as much of, getting the foot in and getting about players, not only his ability on the ball but his ability to press and put the Celtic team under pressure. Just looking at that Rangers bench, good to see Jordan Rossiter featuring in the squad. Sean Goss, also another midfield option. Greg Docherty will be disappointed not to